Hello, welcome to Sparks 1524. I'm Nathaniel Miller. Christmas time is just about upon us. I recently completed a road trip, which was my gift to myself celebrating my 50th birthday, and that took me up to Mount Vernon, among other places, then over to the Lincoln home in Springfield, Illinois, before circling back home to Florida. Christmas trees are so much a part of our culture now that you can't imagine an American Christmas without them. However, Christmas tree did not get widespread use or recognition in America until the late 19th century. It had been brought over with German immigrants, but all the way through the 1860s and 70s, Christmas trees were largely confined to the home of German immigrants, German Americans. Even before that, decorating the house was just not something that was done. The most that Mount Vernon saw for Christmas decorations, and Mount Vernon was a mansion, it was the home of a very wealthy planter and his family, was the dining table being moved from the dining room into what General Washington called the new room, which is that famous room with all the beautiful green paneling. So the dining table would get moved into there, and the dining table would be laden with holiday foods, including little colorful desserts and Mrs. Washington's signature hedgehog cake. To a modern American, that seems like an incredibly boring and dull, oh my God, they didn't even have tinsel up. Well, tinsel hadn't been invented. The late 18th century was a time of manual labor. It was a time when things were hard. Everything was made by hand. If you wanted decorations, you had to make them. You didn't just go to the local Walmart. Come up to the mid-19th century, to the Lincoln home, and things look a little more familiar. You'll notice that there are evergreen boughs on the windows, and Mrs. Lincoln put evergreen little sprigs on pictures, and there were more bows. And of course, the dining room table would be filled with holiday food for the holiday itself. But by our modern standards, it still seems like a hopelessly boring time. I mean, geez, they didn't even have iTunes. You get to the home of President Benjamin Harrison, our 23rd president, by the late 1890s. Now there's a Christmas tree. Now there are shiny ornaments and lights and tinsel, the things that we would start to recognize. Well, part of that was because the Industrial Revolution had started creating a greater affluence in the country, and inexpensive goods were starting to become part of the norm. You didn't necessarily have to make everything. You could actually go to a store and buy something. Technological improvements enabled people to decorate more. And this got me thinking about how we look at the past, particularly during a holiday season. Christmas at its root, for Christians such as myself, is a recognition, celebration of the birth of Christ. For Christians, we have two holidays that define our faith at core base level foundation. Christmas, the birth of Christ, or the incarnation, and Easter, which is the resurrection when Christ defeated death. For other people, the Christmas season can mean many other things. The Jewish festival of Hanukkah happens in early December. The Muslim month of Ramadan goes through much of December. So for many people, this time of year has a great deal of meaning for many reasons, in addition to the secular nature that Christmas has taken on. To quote Bill Murray, from 1988 Scrooged, or at least to paraphrase him, this is the time of year when we laugh a little more, we smile a little easier. For a couple hours, we are the people we want to be. And that's secular or religious, it doesn't matter. This is a time of year when we not just try, but a lot of times we are the people we want to be. And like our predecessors did, we struggle to carry that on through the year. Judging the past harshly by our modern standards doesn't just ignore the good things that came from the past that built the world we live in. It diminishes our own humanity. We're part of a never-ending story. Those people in the 18th century that celebrated with just a small cake and maybe visit with friends that they only got to see once a year because those friends lived 20 miles away, and since everybody was farming, you just didn't have time to go pop over 20 miles by foot or horse to visit. You only did that certain times of the year. In a lot of ways, they seem a lot happier than we are today in our frenetic, gotta get the latest gadget pace that we always live in. Technology is great. I mean, I'm using it right here. Look at this. I got a wonderful microphone. I got lights. Great little studio set up here in this awesome house. Technology is great. Technology, when I was living in Washington State, let me talk to my parents here in Florida in real time whenever we wanted. We just picked up a phone and called. I'm not putting down our level of technological achievement, but it's human nature to equate technology with sophistication of culture. Technology can definitely enhance the sophistication of our culture. Because of technology, we can see things from around the world in real time. We can learn things about other people and other cultures, other nations like that. That's a good thing. But having all the flashy lights doesn't necessarily make us any better than our predecessors 100 or 200 years ago. They were still people who most of their life was dominated by the day in and day out reality of trying to make a living, trying to put food on the table, making sure their kids had a good education, and etc., etc. Humans are humans. We still are. We've been human for a couple 100,000 years, and we're still going to be human a couple 100,000 years from now. Physically, we may look different as we evolve and change, but human nature is not going to change. We are who we are, and we're no different than our predecessors. We're trying to make our way in our world the same way they did in theirs, only their world built our world. And the world we're living in builds the world for those who come after us. We're part of a story. Judging the past with a little context and a little humility enhances our present because it gives us the context to see where we've been, where we come, and where we want to go. And at a time of the holiday season, especially when we are looking at people we love, we are trying to get together with people that we care about. We're trying to do things and be the people we want to be. Having that context can make our own humanity all the richer because we can see the good, the bad, and the ugly in the past for what it is. Or perhaps more context of holiday celebrations, the good, the bad, and the boring for what it was and how it relates to where we are today. We do the best we can with what we have. And if we appreciate that, these holidays come to mean so much more. And if we appreciate our predecessors within the context of their time, our holiday season can mean even more again because now we realize how much more we have to be thankful for, how much more grateful we have or we can be for the world we live in that they, in their imperfect way, built for us, and that we in our imperfect way are building for our descendants. Holidays are not just a time to get together and love each other. They're a time to recognize what we do have in our culture, recognize where we've been, the good and the bad, and where we can go. Because as Bill Murray said so brilliantly in Scrooged, this is the one time a year when we are the people we always want to be. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and until we meet again, go and do some great things.